everybody. My name is Vondolyn Lane, and this is the Counselor Ms. V show. And today I have with me Kioanna Holmes, who is a KSAC, and we're going to be talking about substance abuse and a couple of other things that in regards to mental health. Let me tell you a little bit about myself first. I have a master's degree. I've been working in the counseling field and human services field for about 30 years. And so I've worked at Erie County Probation, Erie County Mental Health Forensics, numerous counseling agencies, and so on and so forth. So again, I have my special guest today is Kioanna Holmes, and I just want to thank her for coming in, and we can kind of discuss. One, she just has a book that she just wrote, and we want to talk about that too a little bit, and then we're going to dive into the substance abuse stuff. So, Kioanna, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. And yourself today?
Good, good. And I'm very excited. I'm happy, and I want to know more about your book.
Okay, so I have a book. It's called Little Gamey Gums. This is not the actual copy. This is my copy here. It's a book about basically a little girl who runs her mouth a little bit too much. And I know we've all had someone like that in our family, one of the little kids that tells all the business. So Gamey has that kind of personality. And for the first time, she's riding a bus with her brother, and he's worried about her just telling his business and embarrassing him. So this is what the book is about. It's a short book. It's about 25 pages, no more than 30 pages long. And basically I wrote it basically off of a picture that my daughter drew. My daughter drew this picture, and I saw it and I said, oh my God, I'm going to write a book about her. And I couldn't think of a name. And this one day it came to me, and I'm like, Little Gamey Gums. And from there on, I just wrote this book. So I'm hoping that people look into it, read it, purchase it. You can get it on Amazon.com. It's available now for $11.50. And some of the proceeds I'm going to use to help raise money for my son. He's a type 1 diabetic. So a lot of that is expensive. There's outside expenses, emergencies and things like that. So if you're helping me by purchasing the book, you're also helping him as well.
Great, great. Mm-hmm. Sounds great. And actually, I'm going to get my copy too.
Okay.
Okay. In regards to mental health and substance abuse, so tell me about your KSAC-T.
Okay. Basically, I decided that I wanted to know a little bit more of the addiction process. What got me interested in it was I had family members that were actively using, and I didn't really understand their attitudes. I didn't understand why they couldn't just quit, like just put it down and just don't do it anymore. So at one point in life, I just said, you know what, I'm going to go to school. And I did that with all 8 of my children. I have 8 children, and I went back to school and worked at the same time doing so, and I'm like, I'm going to finish it, and a lot of people doubted that I'd be able to do it, my classmates and things like that. So a lot of them have told me, like, you've inspired me to, do something better with myself. So what I learned from that class and going to school was that the addiction is a disease. And so on the outside, to us that are not using it, may look easy that they can just put it down, but it's not that. There's a lot of symptoms and a lot of things that happen within the brain, and that mental health part, that component there, that kind of keeps that person using actively and not seeking the help that we wish they would have. So that's kind of what got me into it. And then I graduated in 2017. I did my internship. Thank you very much. Yes, I want to thank New Life Residential Center for allowing me to do my internship there. They also employed me right after, so I'm not there now because there's funding, there's grants and things like that need to be wrote up. So right now I'm still doing things for them, like I'll volunteer, like they have a community day, so I always help out with that. But there I had a supervisor by the name of Alfred Haley. He is a KSAC too, and he taught me so much, hands-on, it's really important. So I saw dealing with people who are addicted to substances, the need for mental health. I feel that anyone coming in, regardless if they have a diagnosis or not, they should be evaluated, just to make sure that that's not also a component to their using.
Right. So, Kioanna, tell me, what kind of things should people look for when they're when they're doing when they're inquiring about substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or um, addicted to opiates or addicted to marijuana? What kind of things should people look for that kind of lets them know, okay, I'm having a problem here?
Okay, well, you've also, and I just want to say she's brought out some key points. It's a cage process. It's a tool that you can use for screening, and some of those things are basically like knowing that you're waking up and you're feeling like, listen, I got to have a drink, or I got to have a dose of this. I'll say a shot of maybe marijuana, not a shot of marijuana, but inhaling marijuana through a smoke, and that's what I wanted to say. If you feel like you got to take some pills in the morning to get your day started before going to work, you can't go function without those things. That's a red flag. If you know you're using more than you used to use, like maybe before you were only using one of the substances in a day, and now you're doing it 3 or 4 times a day. You know, you're getting angry, you're annoyed. You have family members telling you, hey, you know, I noticed that you've been doing this for a long time. You know, you're changing, and they're pointing out that there's a need for you to stop using. Those are a lot of red flags as well, because a lot of times your family or your friends, you know, they'll notice a change in you, and once they start making those complaints, you know, hopefully you'll take note that there's something going on with you. So those are some things to look for. And the functioning part. A lot of times, you know, you may not be able to function as much as you used to at work. You might have been really a great employee, coming to work on time. Now you're coming in late, you know. Now you're leaving things out that you know they're supposed to be put back, and you're messing up a lot of things. And then there comes the whole point of view and your appearance. Now you're lacking to take care of your hygiene, you know, and now you used to be Mr. Fresh. Now you're coming in, you're not, you know, wearing deodorant or grooming yourself. Those are different things to look out for.
And not only that, is you can also gauge it by your economical status. I
Yes.
mean, where's my money going? And,
Absolutely.
you know, certain things like that. So why don't we go over a couple of questions for the
Okay.
cage, okay?
All right.
Actually, the cage is a assessment tool that mental health counselors and substance abuse counselors use. And it's only 4 questions, and you can actually get this assessment tool offline and kind of assess yourself. And then if need be, then kind of contact the agency or see, you know, where can you go from there. So the first question would be, have you ever felt you should cut down on your drinking or drug use? And you would just ask yourself that question. And then the second question would be, have people ever annoyed you or criticized you about your drinking or drug use? You know, again, a lot of times, you know, we have family members or whatever, or friends, and we be like, oh man, she's drinking a lot, or, you know, and the other person may not be like, I don't want to hear that, I'm just having fun, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's not a problem for me. And, you know, sometimes it may not be, but sometimes it may be. You know, so, you know, we as individuals need to help one another and kind of, you know, ask people and kind of recognize and see if that's an issue. And if it is, kind of, you know, in a loving way and supportive
Yes.
way,
Yes.
say, hey, I noticed that, you know, you might be drinking a little bit more, or, you know, you might be, you know, doing this a little bit, you know, more often, or a lot of times people have physical problems or medical problems and end up taking pain medications and what, you know, then without recognizing that, they end up becoming addicted to pain medications. And so that has been a problem across the board. you know, the third question would be, have you ever felt bad or guilty about your drinking or drug use? And a lot of times, you know, talking to clients and talking to other people, have talked to people and they'd be like, yeah, man, I feel really bad. I spent the rent money, or you know what
Yes.
I mean? I spent my college, my daughter's or son's college savings, or what have you, and then they feeling really bad. So that's the third question. And the fourth question is something that Kioanna had mentioned already, was have you ever had to have a drink first thing in the morning to steady your nerves or get rid of a hangover? That question is more geared to alcohol addiction, but that you can also use, substance abuse in that question as well.
Yes.
So if you score, and it's only 4 questions, and if you answer no to all of them, then your score will be 0. But for anything that you answer yes to, you would add a 1. So if you scored anything over a 2, that means that you probably need to seek help, outside of that, outside of family and friends.
Yeah, and I want to say, don't be afraid to try the screening tool. It's not a diagnosis.
Right.
It doesn't mean, yes, I'm an alcoholic or I'm a
Right.
drug user or anything like that, but it just opens your eye a bit
Right.
to maybe there is a problem with you, and now you can start something today, you don't have to wait until it gets bad, because that whole process of addiction, it doesn't only mess you up mentally, it has a physical effect,
Right.
A lot of times people fail to take care of their health. They can have bad teeth going on. They will not go seek a dentist. I mean, they've got their own self-medication now. So why do they need to go to a dentist? That's what sometimes their thinking process goes. But they actually need that professional to go in there and take care of their oral health. And then there's disorders that they can get, like hepatitis C. I've seen a lot of people that have come in the doors with that diagnosis. Now, there are medications that help with that, but a lot of people end up with hepatitis, cirrhosis of the liver. People have heart attacks from drug and alcohol abuse. There's all sorts of, medical ailments that can happen from using. So it's really important, if you feel like what we're saying right now is talking to you, go ahead there's a website. You can go to the John Hopkins medicine, probably.com. Go on there, look for the CAGE substance abuse screening tool, or just put that in Google and answer these 4 questions.
Right, and that's what I was going to come to. My next question was, how can one get help? In Buffalo, New York, you can actually dial 411, and that would take you to a phone number, and you can actually get help there. Or you can call crisis services.
Yes.
Actually, if you are in need and need intervention, you may be, everybody has problems. Everybody has certain things going on, and you can reach crisis services. They're there 24 hours a day. Their number is 716-834-3131, and it's somebody always going to be on the other end to help you. And I don't care if it's substance abuse related, alcohol related, mental health related, domestic violence related. It's somebody there to talk to all the time. We also, and if you're in desperate need, you can always call 911. 911, if you think you need to go to the hospital, if things are really, really spiraling out of control, you can call 911, have the ambulance take you, and have an assessment done at ECMC. If they think that you need to be admitted, they will admit you. If they think that you don't, then they would release you, but they can at least give you a screening and let you know exactly, what's going on with you.
Yeah, that's true. And just thinking back to addiction a little bit, I was thinking about this one time, just as far as people seeking help. There was something that I ended up having to help someone with because a person was having a medical emergency due to using heroin. And when this person informed me, the first thing I did was said, let's get over there right away. Let's, don't waste any more time. Some people thought the person had already passed. Some people said, oh, the person's just sleeping. I saw them doing this, that, and the third. Well, what ended up happening is that person had an overdose. And immediately, I started CPR and things like that, but we ended up having to get the ambulance because CPR wasn't working. And at the end of the day, they were admitted to ECMC because they had got access to some heroin. And it's not a black or white thing. I mean, it used to be, more or less geared towards maybe the suburban area, but we have it coming over here to the east side too. So now we have to also worry about, those type of drugs getting over to our youth. And there's a lot of drugs that look like candies and things like that are synthetics that are out here killing people. I can also tell you this, you got to be careful from the children too, because there was a time when my children allowed a girl to come over and spend the night, and my kids were only about 10 years old at the time, and the little girl brought over a patch, and she referred to my daughter as, this is the happy patch, this is what my mom uses, and gave it to my daughter. And I'm glad that my daughter brought it to me. Yeah. So it's very important as parents that we educate our children about some of these drugs. You can go on, the websites, and you have Oasis, and they have little what is it called, videos and things like that you can look at, so that you can have a better understanding of what's going on. Because if my daughter hadn't brought that to my attention, she may have put that patch on, and that was fentanyl, and that could kill you. So it's not a battle of just adults anymore. We got to worry about our children too. So it's very important. You may see these same things that we spoke about in your child. So you may need to call for your child, So just think about that as well.
Right. Everybody goes through a period where they have stress. And, stress can be good stress, or stress can be bad stress. Stress could be like, I'm expecting a baby, or I'm getting ready to get married, or I'm starting a new job, or stress can be, a number of things, and that's the good stress. The bad stress could be like, I lost my job, or me and my husband is getting a divorce, or me and my boyfriend is breaking up, or, or a sickness can be also an indicator of, a big stress factor. And death. The loss of a loved one, or the loss of even a pet. You would think that, a lot of people have very, very close relationships with pets.
Absolutely.
Be a cat, dog, whatever. And they can be really depressed if that cat or dog or whatever their pet is becomes ill or expire. So, we definitely want to reach out and talk about, stress and have people, get help if they need help in regards to these issues. So when we also kind of talk about mental health symptoms, extreme crying, yearning or churning in your stomach constantly, isolating yourself and not want to be around people. All of those could be stress factors and can be indicators that there's something off. I used to be very social, now I don't want to go nowhere. I'm not crying now. I cry at the drop of a hat. It's a lot of stuff that can be indicators of stress, and that might be an indicator that something else is going on.
Right, and even changes in their eating habits.
Yes.
They can gain weight or they can lose weight, you know, so that's something that you want to also look into. And I want to congratulate you on, you know, your work as a counselor in mental health, because you know what, is a very important component even within the substance abuse part. I mean, those two kind of go hand in hand. A lot of people, like I said, don't believe that they might need the mental health help, but it's important, like I said, to even just try to get evaluated for it. And I wanted to just bring in to talk with her about that a little bit more, because I was speaking with her privately and I was telling her how we had a lot of patients that actually needed that mental health component.
Right.
And I even one day at work I called her and I was like, listen, I wanted to know a little bit more information on how can we get people in quicker to be assessed for the mental health, because I saw some of my clients going downhill, and it wasn't because they were actively using, they were clean, but being clean didn't get this together all the way. You know, they needed that extra help. And so I was asking, how can we get them in quicker, because it was seeming like we were kind of not getting the help that we needed from the outside agencies as far as getting that mental health counselor. They were like backed up, and we didn't have any real help with them as far as that part went. And so it was really about the wording and what you say, and about the symptoms that you see in your client. And so the things that she just mentioned, the isolating, you know, like we said, the change in your diet and the eating habits, your personal grooming, all of those different things. Maybe the heart pacing, sweaty,
Yeah.
you know, overly worried, very
Stomach
stressed out.
churning,
Yes.
stomach and
So
stuff.
all of those things you mentioned. So that way someone takes this seriously and they know, like, okay, all right, she's seeing all this, then something is definitely wrong. So I want to congratulate her on being a person that helps people go through this thing. And, you know, there's also medications that are prescribed. You know, there's nothing wrong if that is going to help take care of the symptoms. It's not going to necessarily take care of the problem. And that's why you need that
Right.
counselor to talk to you. So help get some of that weight lifted off, you know, and this is what she does. So,
Right.
you know, just, you know, you can tell them a little bit about some of the things you've experienced.
Yeah, medication, I think also helps with mental health in some aspects, and substance abuse, because they have medications that help with if you're drinking and, you know, if you're smoking or using substances. So, but it works hand in hand with psychotherapy, which is talk therapy. So you definitely want both in
Yes.
collaboration. You just don't want to get medication and not talk to anybody. You know what I mean? And talk to anybody, and that means a professional person that you need to talk to. You know, and get whatever is bothering you and having you stressed out to the level that you're drinking or using, or even if it's not, that you're depressed and, you know, so on and so forth. You need to talk and get it out. And one of the things I used to tell my client is just smile. You don't own all of the problems in the world. And this is the present. This is not the future. You know, you may be going through a period of time where you're just having a rough patch, but then, you know, it'll get better. You know, it will get better. And people always say, well, I don't want to take medication and this and that and the third. And that may not be for you. But then, too, sometimes you may need medication just to help you get over the hoop. That don't mean you have to take it continuously and forever.
Right.
You know, depend on your diagnosis, depend on everybody is unique with their diagnosis. I mean, you can have something and somebody else could have something else, but and you may have to take medication for that, and that doesn't mean you have to take it forever. It just means that you may need it for right now.
Right.
You know, just to help you get through. So I'm gonna also be talking to a couple of people, the Buffalo Police Department. I want to have them, or the Cheektowaga Police, you know, or some of our suburban police department or officers come in and kind of talk about how they what is the procedure for handling mental health clients. Because a lot of times if a person have autism or something else, that can be interpreted as they're not compliant with the police
Yes.
rules. So you want to definitely, be mindful and have an officer on here to kind of let us know what's going on with that. And also the fire department, our first responders, our fire department. I'm going to have a guest to talk about, the procedures with the fire department and that, or with the ambulance and that, and domestic violence. So we're going to be discussing a whole bunch of stuff in regards to mental health and how we can address it and how we can educate people and moving forward with that. So.
Okay. And I was going to say I was glad that she's going to have a guest coming to talk about, from the police department, to talk about that, because in the news we've seen a lot of people being mishandled and we don't know what the reason is. Don't judge a book by the cover. You never know what's going on with someone. They can have a mental illness. They could have an addiction problem, or they could have just had a bad day. So don't be so quick to judge. Take your time out to try to talk to people. And if you're one of those people that are suffering through the symptoms, take the time out to have that conversation with someone so that you can get help as well.
Well, we are all out of time
All
today,
right.
and this has been a great opportunity to educate everybody. And we just want to thank our production crew, Ramona Overall and Rodney Johnson. And like I said, I'm excited about what's to come, and we definitely want to, educate people and kind of make people aware of the things that's happening and to be mindful of mental health issues. And I want to end with a quote, a scripture from 2 Timothy 1:17. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. And so that is my show, the Counselor Ms. V show. Ms. V is for Vondolyn, Louise Salter Lane.
All right.
And
All
I am
right.
a mental health therapist, and my credentials, I graduated from Adai College many, many moons ago. And I have with my master's degree. And so I just wanted to make sure I educate people and make people aware of the things that's going on in our community. So thank you, and hope to see you next time.
Okay. All right. That's a wrap.
All right.